Hi, everybody. Welcome today. I'm so honored today to bring you we're always trying to bring you people to show you how things happen for them. We know that many of you are teachers and healers in your own right. And some of you know that, some of you don't. But the reality is, we always try to tell you other people's stories and kind of what took place and how they got into the work and in different ways. And today, I'm very honored to bring you Robert Najemy from Greece. Has an incredible story to tell you, some things that he's stepped into that I think you're really going to appreciate. So this is Robert. Robert, welcome. Welcome to the broadcast today.
Thank you. And it's my honor, Steve. It's my honor. Thank you.
That's great. I'm very thrilled. George, one of our staff members, told me about you. He's from Greece, and of course, he was very familiar with your work. And he told me about you, and immediately the group said he's part of the family. Real simple. So we didn't have to do a whole lot of explanations and so forth with that. Just kind of worked out pretty well. But anyway, I did want to bring you in today and kind of introduce you to everyone and tell a little bit about your story, because you have a fascinating story behind you. It's just absolutely amazing to see some of the things that you've done. If you don't mind, I'd like to start with the story that really got you kind of into this. And I think that was with your father, wasn't it?
Well, it was a little before my father. I'm a chemical engineer. I studied at WPI in Massachusetts. And after about 2 years of working as a chemical engineer, I became disillusioned. It was the time of Vietnam.
Right.
And I became quite disillusioned with life. And I didn't believe in God, and I didn't believe in an afterlife. And, I didn't believe anything. And I decided to give myself a year to find a reason to live, because I couldn't find any reason to live if life was only this. It is living for 80 years, just making enough money to live and then leaving this physical realm. So then I began studying various methods of meditation and yoga and philosophy and psychology, and gradually found a reason to live. One reason was evolution, the idea that I could better myself, that I could evolve. The other was creativity, that whenever I created anything, from a writing to a meal, that felt satisfying. And the third was serving. Whenever I served or helped anyone, I felt good inside. So these three things, evolution, creation, and serving, became somehow the motto of my life. And so I was on this search, and my family moved to Lebanon when I was 12 years old. And my father was the dean of students at the American University of Beirut there. So I grew up from 12.
You moved from Massachusetts
States
to, wow.
Connecticut. We moved to Connecticut and we moved to Beirut, Lebanon. And then my father was the dean of students. He was there for 18 years, actually. I came back to the States, got my degree, worked for 2 years for a chemical company, got disillusioned, left my job, and I told you about that. And then in Beirut, in Lebanon, we started to create a yoga center in the mountains where people could come, spend time, relax, do meditation, do breathing exercises and physical and meditative exercises. Then the war broke out in 1975. At that time, I went back to the U.S. for a while just to collect books and videos and things to supply the center so that people would come up into the mountain and relax and the war got worse, so I didn't get back there until one day my brother called me and told me that someone had killed my father. It was a student at the university. It had nothing to do with the war. The student was just angry because it did not let him pass the next grade. So that student killed one of the professors, but with a gun, and then killed my father with a gun. Would have been in about 5 minutes. So my brother called me. I went back to Beirut to see what we could do, and living there was not possible anymore because the war was getting worse and worse. And I ended up moving to Greece temporarily, supposedly temporarily, 49 years ago, temporarily. Uh, and because my brothers were there, because they had moved there from Beirut because of the war, and they were working with a company there. And I ended up, just seeking up if anyone wanted to learn yoga or meditation. I was 30 years old at that time. Now I'm 79. And so these 49 years, I've been just building this center here. Now, at one point, my brothers and the family wanted to do something to punish the, the student that killed my father. But I explained to them that this is not something that we can do. This is something karma has to take its own path without our getting involved in that. And so there was no need to do anything to this person. And at that time, actually, there was no law in Lebanon. He went free, actually. Nothing really happened. So the real cause of my getting into this path was not my father's assassination, but the the disillusionment with life if there was nothing beyond this physical life. And it seemed to have no meaning just to be here for 80 years and live without there being some kind of higher purpose. And that was what caused me to leave my job and give myself a year to find a reason for living. Well, that's pretty much that story in a nutshell.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And what drew you to Greece?
Well, yeah, also I may add that that experience of my father being assassinated and watching his lifeless body there in a casket was an interesting stimulus, which caused me to begin to study what happens after death. And at first I thought, well, there's no real information on this. And then I began to find all kinds of information, which ended up in my writing a book called The Mystical Circle of Life, which actually can be found on Amazon, The Mystical Circle of Life, um, in which I investigated 12 sources, including people who had died and come back, Christianity, Hinduism, Tibetanism, various sources, Edgar Casey, Czech, various sources as to what the soul goes through, the process of the soul leaving the body, the various levels the soul goes through, and the process of reincarnation. So that was an interesting stimulus, actually, for that process.
Fascinating. I have my book on that as well. Absolutely, called "Crossing the Veil." That's my most recent book. I wrote it, of course,
Oh, okay.
stimulated by my wife passing, Barbara passing. Yes, absolutely motivated me to put a put an idea to have what is this exactly and what takes place with it. So that's incredible. Yeah, awesome. I'm really happy that this worked the way it did. So you know what happens when we follow spirit, when we follow those gentle nudges, doors open. It's absolutely amazing
Yeah.
sometimes. And I don't know if we actually created or if it was a path that was, yeah, laid out for us. And I guess it doesn't really make any difference. It's magical either way. So that's wonderful.
I
So
think it's a path laid out, but we have the choice to follow it or not.
that's right.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. So that's incredible. So you started working there, and you started teaching. You stepped out of the yoga framework, didn't you? And really moved into all sorts of teaching, didn't you? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to find anything that could improve the human experience. It could create human harmony. So it could be what we eat, the exercises, the breathing. But then I realized that that's not enough, especially for the Western individual. So we need to work also psychologically. So I began to work a lot with psychological techniques. And after many years, after about 20 years, got into energy psychology, EFT, the BSFF, and PAT, and the Sedona method, the Ho'oponopono, the heart math, as ways to also affect the energy aspect of beliefs. Because I got somehow disillusioned after about 20 years of just talking with people or listening to people and not seeing the changes take place. And I realized that there was an energy element, which was keeping people in the same thought processes, even though intellectually their beliefs had changed. And so discovering these forms of energy psychology helped me to bridge that gap between what people believed intellectually and what they were feeling, because we could work directly on the emotions in that way. And then I got involved in catharsis methods, which were helping also to release a lot of the tension, especially from childhood years. We do some we do a lot of regressions to the childhood years and uh, letting go of those emotions, but then rebuilding the experiences by reliving what happened, not changing what happened in any way, but interpreting it differently rather than being feeling that we are not worthy or not saved, realizing that other people have problems and that their behaviors are not reflections of our self-worth, and that we are safe and that we are worthy and lovable. And so I've been to combine all of these with what I consider to be, and I think what Alan Watts calls the perennial philosophy, and that is the basic spiritual concepts that we can find in all religions, such as the immortality of man, the importance of love, the importance of behaving to others in a way that we would like them to behave to us. And so it's a combination of discovering the emotions and the beliefs that cause those emotions, and then deciding whether we want to alter those emotions by changing the beliefs that create those emotions and how we can do that. Okay. That's pretty much the
That's,
process that we work with and self-knowledge seven.
that's amazing. That's amazing. It parallels our work that I've been doing with the group for quite some time. I had no history in this before. I was a general contractor, so I understand coming from a very mental place and all of a sudden starting to get this incredible information and your life changes pretty quick. Absolutely
Well,
amazing stuff. Yeah, and
actually, in our 7-year self-knowledge seminar, 14 of those classes are on your book, Spiritual Psychology.
oh, nice,
And
nice.
yeah, and so each week we would look at one of the light lessons. In a few light lessons, we took two sessions, and what's preventing us from learning those lessons. So you're a part of that seminar.
Oh, thank you, thank you. That's it's like I said, you're part of the family, so we all we all kind of reach out and touch each other. It's just it's amazing. And I know quite a few other channels. We talk sometimes, and when we talk like that, we end up kind of carrying a little bit of the message. Sometimes I use words from them; they use words from me. We change concept. That's exactly the way it's supposed to be. We need to get this out into the world in the many different ways that we can. So thank you for thank you for being a part of that. That's magical.
Thank you.
Yes, we've experienced very similar things. Of course, we've started a nonprofit organization here in the United States to be able to do this work for many years now, and always had the interesting struggle about making enough money to put things on and be able to support ourselves and so forth. You have a really interesting approach that you did with this. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that and what took place with that? You kind of
Yeah.
shared a little bit with me.
Yeah. Well, for some reason, when I began, I was 30 years old. I decided that knowledge and technique should never be kept from people for economic reasons. I decided that our center would never have money as a prerequisite for someone to follow our seminars or classes. And actually, at one and still, even if they stay in our rooms, because we have a retreat center here, even staying in the rooms and eating, if they don't have money, it's fine. They can just do that without paying, or they can offer less. We started a system called the optional uh, suggested offering that we have for each class, or for the rooms, or for the eating, whatever that may be. And it's up to the student to decide what they're going to do with that. And I had explained to them that this is a part of the seminar, that making that choice, if you don't have money, don't feel badly about not paying. But if you do, be conscientious. Don't just come and stay and not give anything to them. Don't go to Mykonos or some island and spend all your money. But we don't control them in any way. Anyone is free to come and to walk or not to walk. And anyway, the suggested offering is very low. I mean, it's only $3 an hour for someone who's following a seminar, which is very small, I think. So, and in order to do that, I decided that I would have to be able to live without having money. So I all these years I've been living in the center, in a room in the center, uh, and so I wouldn't have to take any money. It's actually community in which we are now about a community of 50 persons. Only 3 of us lived in the center, and the rest of them come and go and offer their time without any kind of payment. And we could live full time and work all day long on that. We save our room and food and electricity and these kinds of things, but no payment, absolutely. And so the result of that was that we were able to actually buy our center in Athens and create 2 buildings in our retreat center outside and in nature among the olive trees and the great vineyards and this kind of thing. And for me, it's like I feel like I didn't do anything. It's just like this force, someone is an engineer. Oh, I can do that without being paid, and the architect, and then I have a friend who's an electrician, and then it was just kind of one miracle after the other. And this, what I believe is with the support. I believe if you support the evolutionary process, the process supports you, and you don't really have to worry. But of course, no, I don't have any children, so that's a fact.
Right.
I don't have
But
to
you,
put money in the bank when I'm to university. So that gave me the freedom to be able to live like that and to make that choice.
incredible.
You're going to say,
And you even, and like you said, you even have rooms for people to stay from what you've told me.
yeah, we have these small rooms. We have their own kitchen and their own bathroom, and at 2 levels, one bed down below and another level up with another bed. They're quite comfortable, and people come. We usually stay 2 in the room unless they can't stay or something. And they follow the seminar. They come down in the morning. We do our exercises, breathing, meditation. They take their breakfast, and then we do the classes, and they have group discussions because a large part of our process after the teachings and the methods is the group work. And so there's about 40 group facilitators who have learned to ask questions. And through the questions that they ask, help people to discover what their feelings are, what their beliefs are, and what alternative perceptions they can begin to install in their conscious and subconscious in order to see things differently and to be able to experience things differently. So after the morning class or the group, so about an hour and a half, and the rest, and then another class in the evening. It's a wonderful. There's a lot of dancing, the singing, the classes, a lot of unity. It's a very nice experience.
Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous.
Mm.
Now that sounds absolutely wonderful. And I'm sure you have people that travel from outside of Greece, don't you, to come to some of these events?
Well, only Greek speaking because we're doing all of this in Greek. So yes, they come from England, some come from France and other countries, but they're Greeks. Uh, for some reason, I was never able to get things going in English. I'm not sure why. I'm either in the States or not even. I mean, I have 40 books published in Greek, but only 6 in English, and they didn't do well at all. I mean, the ones on Amazon are just being reset. I'm not sure what that is all about. I've accepted it. But yeah,
I,
some people tell
I
that.
got the same.
But
I've got a similar situation. I never quite. My first books were published in 18 different languages, and my last book was published in 4. So yeah, I understand.
um,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
confusing. Sometimes it's just like it's kind of like show business in a way. You hit the right mark at the right time and everything, but and yet even so, it always lands in the hands of the people that need it. It's always
yeah,
if it's there, if you put it out there. So you've written 40 books. Did I hear that correctly? 40?
yeah.
Incredible.
Actually, there's two more I've submitted to the. Actually, one more I've submitted to the publisher, and I'm in the process now. My publisher, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea for me to write an autobiography. I told him, this is not a good idea because my life was not very eventful and it's not very interesting. Um, but he eventually convinced me. Actually, what he did was he put it into the chat GPT, or how you call it,
Right.
and says, "Did Robert Najemy write an autobiography?" But an answer from the
Spirit will
he
speak
sent
to
me
you in any way.
that. I said, okay. Well, the various reasons it would seem logical. I think the main reason that's been logical is that people have a tendency. I don't consider myself to be a teacher. I consider myself to be a spiritual aspirant, a person studying, seeking to find answers and to improve myself. I never thought of myself as a teacher. And I always tell people, don't believe something because I say it. Investigate it, think about it, and eventually decide what you believe. That's what I feel is really important. But then when I realized with this book, by exposing my weaknesses and the things that I've run through and admitting the various emotions that I have had and mistakes that I've made, what actually may help people because there's a way people feel comfortable with. Okay, he's in another level, and so I can just be as I am, and so I think that may be helpful for people to stop putting another person on a pedestal and
I agree.
getting going themselves, being responsible for their life.
That's actually why the group did not want to give me a name. I knew that they were multiple entities when I first started channeling them, but they, all my friends were starting to channel at the same time. And even today, we have some professional channels that came from that. But they all said, well, mine are from the 12th dimension and mine are from the Akasha and all the wonderful names we were all learning at the time. But the group said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, I was the one that ended up calling them the group. So, but it makes sense. And it's a different type of attitude. It's not about giving your empowerment away. It's about holding it yourself, claiming it, and stepping into it, allowing yourself to make the mistakes, allowing yourself to flow through it, to become aware of your emotions and many of the aspects that you've been talking about here. I totally agree with what you've been working with. That's absolutely beautiful. So you have, if I may, you have a wide variety of topics that you cover then that basically cover the
Yeah,
spiritual psychology aspect of things. And I don't mean that about my book. I mean about all of it, to be able to really cover the emotions and the human experience. It's just, that's magical. That's magical. And I also heard you say that you worked with heart math as well. So one of the things that we do quite a bit of is getting into, it's interesting because I love science. I absolutely love science. It lives in a different world than we work in, but the connections, especially with quantum physics and quantum science, they seem to validate a lot of the teachings that the group has been giving me. So hopefully we're getting a little closer to bringing some of that together in some ways. Very, very
I
beautiful
do.
stuff.
Actually, one of our earlier seminars was quantum philosophy,
Oh,
in which
there you go.
each week I would actually what I did I showed a small part of some quantum physics and then how we can relate that to our reality and how really everything is just an illusion. There's nothing actually physical. It's 99.99% empty, and that the witness is creating causing this field of possibilities to take a certain form. And so actually one of the seminars is quantum philosophy. Oh,
That's fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I've used especially the quantum. The quantum entanglement just basically talks about us. We're all connected in different ways. So to be able to relate that to in a scientific way for me was just very powerful. And the other one was the double slit experiment, where they found out that it does these strange things, and then if they turned off the camera, it does something else. So us witnessing, us observing, us being the witness to anything changes it. And that that just shows that we're conscious creators to me. And that's really at the
oh,
heart of a lot of our work too, talking about making your own choices, stepping forward, doing your own work, and bringing it forward in that way. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
oh.
What
And I
would you
think you
like
also
to
got
share with
recent,
people?
in your, as you said that in your recent, I received I saw your recent discussion in which you answered questions. And you said something very important. If you don't like the reality you're creating, create another one, especially by thinking differently, speaking differently, and acting differently. And it's so important for us to understand that we are actually creating. And for me, that's 50% of the job, taking full
Yes.
responsibility of the reality. And I'm not only creating, but also attracting in many ways. I wanted to ask you, are you using Ho'oponopono at all?
Using what? I don't quite.
Ho'oponopono, the ancient Hawaiian method.
I
Or
I have not. I have not heard about it until just recently. So no, I believe that from what the group's telling me right now, we're using the principles, but we don't know the method. That's yes.
it's
That's
exactly, it's letting go of contracts, Steve.
right.
It's exactly that. What we're saying is you see something you don't like and you say, I'm sorry for my participation in creating this. I add also, I thank you for the possibilities of learning through this experience. I love you, I love myself, and I free you. Here's the negating of the contract. I free you from the necessity to continue to exist as you are. That could be someone's behavior, it could be an illness, it could be an economic problem. And then I thank God for removing from me whatever in me is contributing to this reality. And so for me, it's really the removal of the contract. It's a beautiful experience and it goes so well with what you're teaching.
The synchronicities are abounding. I just heard that in a movie last night about, and it's a Hawaiian tradition, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact,
Yeah,
you
it's a Hawaiian
can have them
tradition
come
that
to it.
yeah,
Oh,
that they use for a lot of things. From the group's perspective, that's they've been teaching it. We've been teaching it in a different way, obviously, which is really what the group likes to do. They like to give a different view of things and then kind of tie truths in a different way so that people can see it in different aspects. But I will use that one. That is a
oh,
absolutely beautiful thing to remember. Thank you. What was it? Thank you. Um, I'm
I
responsible for
love you.
this. I love you. I forgive you. Please forgive me. And was there a
Yeah.
fifth one or not? Okay. That
I free you. That's very important. I'm
I
freeing the contract. Okay, we're done. We
right
don't need this
exactly.
contract anymore. You don't have to shout at me anymore. You don't have to abuse me anymore. Well, my liver doesn't have to bother me anymore. It's an amazing method, and it really works.
Yeah, no, it does. We've been, like I said, we've been doing. We actually did a whole seminar on scripting conscious contracts, which are contracts that are made on this side of the veil, that we basically can engage at any time. We've had a lot of people come to me as a spiritual teacher, as the group as a spiritual teacher, and say, "How many contracts do I have left? What do I need to do?" And they go, "No, you don't understand. The contracts are only potentials. You choose where you go. You follow your path and you create it." And it's absolutely amazing. And the other one that they have talked about, even in the first book, was responsibility being the balance to power. The more responsibility you can take for your life and your connection, the more power you basically have over everything in your environment around you. That's beautiful. I can't wait to talk with you some more, sir. We're gonna have some fun together at some point.
Right.
This is,
It'll be my pleasure.
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. And if you ever come out this way, you please let me know. And if I come out that way, we will hook up at some point. Absolutely.
Well, I think it's more likely that we will come here, so we'll be waiting for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, one final piece. What would you like our people to know? What would you like to give something that's important to you?
For me, there are two very important uh, guidelines for my life. To live our lives according to our beliefs and to always behave towards others as we would like them to behave to us. For me, these are my guiding principles, and I hope everyone else will. I mean, I'm not asking anyone to do anything that I believe, anything I say. Decide what you believe and live according to it.
Beautiful. And also, can you tell us the name of your website? I will put it up here on the screen as well.
Well, it's www and then the period harmoniki zoe. It means harmonious life. harmonikizoe.com. And there's an English section, which is smaller, and a Greek section, which is huge. There's 4,000 videos on YouTube. All right. So there's, and they're basically all free.
Yep.
So if, and there are about 200 videos in English. So seek them out.
Quite a bit to look for. We look forward to seeing it and doing it further. My friend, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being on the show with us here today,
Okay.
and thank you for. I honor you, sir. I'm thrilled to be connected with you. We will dance again. Trust me.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
And for that, we'll turn you to the studio. Thanks everybody for being here today. Espavo, everybody.